escalating building material costs, allegations of cocaine shipments, and significant electricity and water tariffs increments. The president should be rated 2 out of 10 in his first 120 days. Well, that's from Musa Kofi in Kintampo. Now we move on to the next matter, which is the Save Our Judiciary demo. Some opposition parties, and opposition parties have come up in recent times for mention. Some opposition parties, of course, the MPP was key, mobilized other opposition parties with it to demonstrate against the suspension of Chief Justice Tokonu. And the process is in line with Article 146 of the Constitution, and the president is following it, but the minority thinks that there's some bit of politics in there and that we should not cross what they call the red line. I started with the Honorable Foku, who is a member of the MPP. I don't know whether he was at a demonstration or not, but his colleagues were there. Quite a number of them presented petitions to the Supreme Court, to Parliament, and then to the presidency. Yes, Honorable Foku, the process as we are seeing play out, and from what Kojo Asante said, clearly the president is just following the rules or the law, 146. You receive a petition, you carry it to the Council of State. Council of State will deliberate upon it in consultation with you. Prima facie case, you form a committee. You may decide to suspend the CJ or not. He has decided to suspend the CJ for various reasons, because he says that staying in office may interfere with the process and that she needs full attention to prepare her defense and all of that. So she's on suspension. Why is the minority or the MPP, together with other opposition parties, unhappy with this process?
Yeah, thank you, Solomon. So the coalition of political parties coming together to do this demonstration tells you where this issue had gotten to for the coalition to resort to demonstration. I mean, there had been several debates on this subject, and it never got the ears of the actors that have been pushing this. So the coalition found it necessary to safeguard our democracy.
And the coalition is made up of the MPP, the Liberal Party of Ghana, which the NDP,
yes,
and then which other party? Well, that's just all.
I mean, so it's a coalition of political parties that, wants to, safeguard our democracy, okay, against this politically motivated intent to remove our CJ. But that was not the only item on the agenda for the demonstration. We also spoke against the mass termination of employment of the youth of this country as we know it. We also raised the issue about comments that now we are also hearing in the public space about the electoral commissioner as well. So these are all some of the issues that we had to demonstrate against. We believe we need to safeguard our democracy against all these injustices.
I see. The matter really, is it a case that a petition has been sent to the president? The president should close his eyes on the petition? Is that what you're asking for? Because once the petition comes, the law is that forward it to the next stage. He has done that. They have kept working in accordance with the steps provided for by the Constitution. So what should we do? What should we do? Should we have closed our eyes on it?
Solomon, if you follow, this process with intent to remove the Chief Justice, I can tell you comments from, some actors of the current government prior to even the process starting tells you that straight away there is an agenda, there is an orchestration. We have heard people coming out clearly to say that the Chief Justice will be removed unequivocally. They say it boldly. So they intend to remove the Chief Justice. You see that this had already been, orchestrated. It's just about going through the process. And you don't have to wait for people to enact what they have plotted before you start acting. Like I said, we've heard this well before the process actually started. And even starting the process, people were so confident, bold, to come out, to make these statements, that they removed the Chief Justice. So you see that definitely it's not just a process. It is an intent to remove the Chief Justice by fair or foul means. And whatever counter arguments that, the coalition have put across all this while have fallen on deaf ears. So we had no option than to, demonstrate. And I believe the people of Ghana listened to us, and they've taken cue from that. And I believe the people that are orchestrating this, they will also take cue from, the demonstration that was held.
I see. Adam, since your government is bent on removing the CJ, indeed, top persons in your party in the past have talked about balancing the judiciary or the bench. The fact that the lady Chief Justice will have to go and all of that. So for them, it's like something which was planned, and we are just following the playbook. We're just following it step by step, and that's what is happening. And so they are concerned, really, that if this is not stopped, the next government that counts, maybe MPP or PPP, will also do the same thing, and Ghana will be, Ghana will be the loser for it.
Well, Salom, let me first commend the organizers of the demonstration and the police service and the Attorney General's office for working together to ensure that the demonstration was peaceful. Salom, when the NDC lost power in 2016, and we were in opposition from 2017, I was among the leading figures of the NDC when it comes to the organization of demonstration. In fact, the very first demonstration organized against President Akufo-Addo, I was the leader of that group. I was a convener for the Ghana First Patriotic Front that organized that massive demonstration when the government decided to sign some agreement for the establishment of the U.S. military base. You recall those demonstrations. I led it. And so I am very particular about the fact that the Constitution guarantees every citizen the right to assembly, the right to join any group, which includes the right to demonstrate or to join any public protest. And the same Constitution gives us some guidelines in accordance with the Public Order Act, how it should be done. And so I was very upset when we were in opposition, and on many times when we attempted organizing demonstrations, the governments of the day will either secure some injunction or they deliberately put impediments your way. And so I was excited that the Attorney General ensured that that demonstration took place. The police cooperated with the organizers. Everything went on peacefully, apart from the incident in Parliament involving the minority leader and some police officer. But I'm told investigations are ongoing, so I wouldn't want to speak to that. And so I'm happy the protest went on and all that. But when you come to the reason for the protest, Salom, I am still struggling to get any grounds, any reason, legitimate reason for which the demonstration was organized. Because we are working with laws. President Mahama, President Mahama is working within the Constitution or the constitutional provisions. The demonstrators have failed to tell us which constitutional provision has been breached, for which reason they decided to march onto the street. They have failed. And when you give them the opportunity, they keep beating around the bush like my colleague is doing on this platform, talking about some people having said they will remove the Chief Justice and all of that. Hey, look, Salom, you see, there's something I have learned in these few months in office, that our party is in power. That when you are given power, you always must remember that it doesn't belong to you, it belongs to the people. Prior to 2016, the kind of things they said, the way they bastardized Charlotte Osei, and when they came true to their words, even how they bastardized state institutions, how they use the judiciary and other state institutions against political actors in this country. Look, if you give me the platform, I can give you countless examples of how the NPP used power to intimidate the Ghanaian people, including myself. We talk about Ayawa so West Wugon. Very often the focus is on Sam George, but I'm telling you that I was a victim. I was one of those that the police brutalized on the University of Ghana campus.
You were there.
I was then a deputy national youth organizer of the NDC. So-called national security operatives slapped me, beat me up on Legon campus, and they are aware. These are some of the issues.
What did you do? You were causing
Simply
trouble?
Because
you were misbehaving?
I never misbehaved. I only went to inspect, as I had even the monitoring tag given by the Electoral Commission. But that is how they used and they abused power. Today, even when the president is just acting within the constitutional provisions, they are already, so, I mean, they are not, if this is how to go, nothing, then there are many more demonstrations that they will be going on. Because these demonstrations will not stop President Mahama from exercising the constitutional rights to ensure that the right things are done. Look, talking about the judiciary, in 2024, according to an Afrobarometer, 9 out of 10 Ghanaians believe that the judiciary was not serving the interests of this country. 9 out of 10. Why? All those 9 out of 10, they were the NDC people. And what are we even talking about? The Constitution provides how a Chief Justice or any Justice of the Supreme Court can be removed. And even the President or any public official, Speaker of Parliament, MP, any of us, we are working with the Constitution. Petitions were sent to the President. The President acted in good faith, and as the Constitution directs him, directed the petitions to the Council of State and say, establish, if you establish a prima facie case, then you can proceed. It is for a good reason why the framers of the Constitution, in deciding how the composition of the Council of State is done, made provision for even a former CJ to be a member of the Council of State. It is for a good reason why the framers of the Constitution decided that in the composition of the Council of State, you have a former IGP and people of repute, many reputable individuals. As we speak today, the Council of State is being chaired by no less a person than the venerable former Speaker of Parliament, the Right Honorable Doa Jaho. Doa Jaho is not one of those individuals who will just sit and want to play politics with issues of the Constitution or issues of law. A renowned lawyer himself. The truth is that allow the process to go on. Why are you afraid? Why are you frightened? If indeed she has not done anything, if indeed she is clean, she will have her day before the committee. President Mahama, even unlike what you did, where you bastardized state institutions, where you had no recourse to the rule of law. Look, there was a time in this country.
Well, when you say bastardized state institutions, what do you mean?
Bastardized things, I mean how they disrespected and disregarded even these state institutions. For example, there was a time in this country where a court of competent jurisdiction granted bail to, I think it's Afoko's brother.
Gregory Afoko, yeah. Gregory
Afoko. They refused to execute it. That is how they bastardize institutions and look, if you look at and you have experienced how the NPP from 2017 to 2024 denigrated state institutions and set aside laws to do things their own way, they shouldn't be the people crying about even due process today. But we have no problem. They can go on as many demonstrations as possible.
You don't agree that even though the process is legal, it's in the Constitution, the execution of it may lend itself to politics.
What is politics here?
The fact that perhaps, I mean, in the immediate past, some elements in your party, senior elements, had made comments suggesting that should they win power, they will cleanse the judiciary and the CJ will be the first.
Like I told you that, I mean, granted, granted that even senior members of our party in opposition said there was a need to cleanse the judiciary when we win the elections, that would have been a fair statement to make at the time. Because, like I said, 9 out of 10 Ghanaians, according to a survey, believed that the judiciary needed cleansing. Ghanaians saw how even on tape, video, judges took yam. Judges took goat.
That was many years ago.
And oh yes. And
that was not in the MPP era.
No. So I'm telling you, we are not discussing judiciary within a particular political era. I'm talking about the fact that if anybody said that, vote for me, and I will reset the judiciary, it would have been a fair statement to make, because you make the statement maybe at the time you believe that the judiciary was not necessarily serving the best interest of the public. And again, fair enough. Let's even leave the politicians out of this issue. There was a time in this country where the national security minister himself, under your government, admitted and said that the judiciary was becoming too predictable. He even said that I am admonishing you not to be predictable, because any political case, it was possible for you to predict the outcome of the case. And that is how the judiciary end for itself, the Supreme Court end for itself, the infamous unanimous.
But you guys gave it that name.
So the point is
you guys gave it that name.
So whether it was
but I'm saying that the law must be predictable. So if I took the beauty of the law is, if I took a matter to court, I should be reasonably able to say that the court could say A, B, and C about my matter. You should be able to evaluate lawyers will be able to evaluate the case.
The predictability here, we are talking about the fact that it was almost always predictable that the outcome would favor the government of the day. And I'll give you two clear examples.
The cases were not.
I'll give you two clear examples. In the matter of Techiman South, the court ruled, the same High Court ruled that the people of Techiman could not be denied representation in Parliament. And so, while the matter drags in court, the honorable member of Parliament elect should be sworn in and be allowed to be doing his work, because the court could not deny them representation in Parliament. That was the case. There was a similar case on Sal and the Hohwe case. For 4 good years. Why? The people in Sal, which is now Guan constituency, are they not Ghanaians? They don't deserve representation in Parliament. And so we could see that clearly the predictability was in a certain political line, to the extent that the most respected lawyer, Atuguba, now Dean of the University of Ghana Law School, I stand to be corrected,
School of Law, yeah.
if he is still, also in a research published, indicated that the time judges were appointed had an influence. Also, he could link the outcome or the decisions that they made on specific political cases to the time that those judges were appointed. Recall that is publication. Well-researched, profound publication. And so if anybody said in 2024...
So that's why you're also appointing more judges.
No, I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
I mean, if you reference the research...
I didn't say that is it. But you see, I wouldn't even have... I agree with those who feel that or who believe that we should put a certain ceiling or limit to the number of judges that should be appointed to the Supreme Court. But you see, you bypassed very senior judges, appointed their genius to the Supreme Court. You have left the judiciary this way, and you are uncomfortable even just with the appointment of 7.
That
has been done. Tell me, the 7 people that have been appointed. Look, I have friends who are judges, friends who are lawyers. All the 7 that have been appointed, if I ask you, which of them do you think is not qualified to be on the bench? Which of them? But in previous years, when President Akufo-Addo made appointments to the Supreme Court, even senior lawyers came out to criticize some of the people that were appointed to the bench. But look at the people that have been appointed. Some of them are people that have been bypassed for several years due to suspicions of this same nature. So my point is that, yes, demonstrations, yes, we agree. Everybody should go on demonstration. If they want to do a 1 week, we'll encourage them. I am just happy that our government will not put impediment on their way. But you must have a good and a very sound reason for going on demonstration. I challenge you, tell us, which law has President Mahama breached in the processes so far? Nothing.
Very well.
We will go on, we will not be intimidated by the demonstrations, and we will ensure that the right things will be done.
The opposition parties that demonstrated, of course, I didn't see the PPP. But why didn't the PPP join that demonstration? Is it because the PPP disagreed with the objective of the demonstration? PPP doesn't want to save the judiciary?
The PPP has released a press statement on the whole matter. One, this is not in the press statement, but I believe that the CJ is a victim. It's a victim of MPP politics using her to try and energize their party. You see, the foot soldier exercise that took place was not for the CJ. And you see how now they said it was for the CJ, and now they are adding other topics or other reasons. Because the energy or the rationale behind it is losing momentum. And that is why their own Professor Michael Quays has come out to make a statement that perhaps the CJ should be allowed to resign. Because the senior people are beginning to realize that a process which is a process, there's no violation in terms of the Constitution. You can feel is a feel, whatever way you feel about it. But the process is the process. And once the process is being allowed to go through, and that she will have her day in terms of having a representation by a lawyer, for her to also go and make her case before the committee, you cannot fault such a system or such a process. So I believe that the MPP looking for something to energize their party, they are taking the CJ issue as an MPP issue, and you have further politicized the CJ who is sitting here somewhere, who has not asked you to go on a demonstration for her. And she is partaking in the process. Has she stopped partaking in the process? She is partaking in the process. She wrote for copies of the petition. She received the copies. She responded to the petition. And now has moved to the next stage. Has she said that she does not want to be part of the process, or she will not partake in the process? So in you crying more than the bereaved, what are you gaining from that process? It is an attempt to energize their base, because you see, they are still in a state of quandary. They don't know what happened to them in the elections. And if you look at the internal activities, the stabbing of each other, a thank you tour that has ended abruptly in a negative way, you can see that all the antics is in a way to try to re-energize their party, which has nothing to do with the CJ. And we must take that into perspective. So when we issued our statement, we said that in terms of the process, we don't see anything untoward about it. The process itself, everybody who has come to speak are saying that there's nothing untoward about it. But then they point to other mitigating factors. That what will be its impacts what precedents will they set in the future? How are we viewed internationally? Those other issues are issues that we can interrogate and discuss further. But in terms of the process and the law
there's
itself,
nothing wrong with it.
There's nothing that has happened. And she is a victim of a party trying to energize their base.
Good.
And look, we went further to say, GBA makes a statement, the first statement. And GBA's statement was in tandem to PPP's first statement. We have also made 2 statements on the matter. That we must comply with the processes. Let's be calm. Let's give the process a chance. Let's look at it. And then 2 days after, a 180 turnaround, an aggressive position is taken by the GBA. And the position the GBA has taken mirrors the MPP's position on the matter. So what does that tell you? And then we get further evidence of how some 43 or 47 people were there who took a deal.
Those are the people in the meeting.
On the
And so
behalf
they
of
signed the
everybody
communique.
else, and they moved in an aggressive manner. It's also being alleged that the GBA head was supported by the MPP administration for that position.
Oh,
And she has a
because-
direct. Please,
No, this is-
allow me to finish my.
No,
It's
so
Do we
alleged.
have
No, wait.
evidence to
I
that?
said alleged.
No, I was
We-
at
we
the
have
I use the
evidence
word
to that.
alleged.
Yeah, but alleged. I
Yeah,
was at the
but I
conference.
use the word alleged.
No, but it doesn't.
But what I'm saying is that you heard
She's
me.
a
I
lawyer
said
of
it's
many
a-
years standing.
She
only happens to be married
is the
to another
spouse
lawyer
of an MPP guru.
of a former
She
attorney
is
general.
the spouse
Of a former
an
attorney general.
MPP guru.
But that doesn't mean the MPP supported her.
No.
She has been seen in party colors.
No, supporting her husband.
No, it's not. It's something.
No,
she-
we
her
need
position-
to be.
her
We need to be
position-
careful
No,
here.
not now.
Do we-
Not
do
now.
we-
When she was not. Those people. I saw the pictures too.
Let's be careful how we talk.
But
These
see-
are statements that are made.
Yes,
And
I'm saying that.
I have written it.
It's not fair on her.
I
was
stand
not
by it.
issued
Yes,
by
wait,
an
and I'm
I'm
saying
saying
that
that
it's not fair on her.
what
It's not
I'm
fair on the
saying-
office.
It was
Whether it is
issued
fair.
by the
When they
institution,
have
not
that
an
running
individual.
This is not an issue of fairness.
Many years ago,
This
she
is not an
supported her
issue of
husband.
fairness.
Yes.
This is an issue of trying to put together a statement and trying to put together an argument. And I'm saying that there was, within 2 days, a 180 turnaround from an original statement.
Because the original statement, the team hadn't met. The team met after, because there was a media conference where members met. Of course, you can argue that the members who met were not many, but members met, which is a fact.
But
And members put out the statement or the
Brother,
communique,
you-
which is done every
I
time.
have put a statement.
Very well.
I stand by my statement.
Great.
And I'm saying that if you look at the processes that has been going on, the CJ is a victim. You hear I've said that. And I'm saying she's a victim of a party looking for a topic to become viable. And the processes that she has gone, and the party itself, MPP's leaders, now coming to talk about possible resignations and the rest, is showing that perhaps they are not in consonance with the decisions that are going and happening.
Very
And
well.
it is clear, because if no other than the former Speaker of Parliament, Professor Michael Quays, says that the CJ should possibly resign and the processes that is being undertaken cannot be stopped.
Very well.
It is an admission. It is admission
That no law has been
tactically,
broken.
that tactically they erred.
Very well.
And the error is that, but you see the outcome is that the CJ is the one that is being tarnished.
Very well.
Is being destroyed. You are going on the demo. You are making the noise. You are shouting. But all your shout goes to naught because your exercise that you did It's just it's a key fit exercise
Very well.
because
Very well.
that
Let me
exercise
go
in
to
itself
let me take Franklin's take on this.
cannot have any bearing.
Yes, but it's a
so were
persuasive
you doing
exercise.
it to help her,
It's
or were you doing it to help yourself?
It's to deepen democracy.
It doesn't.
Very well. Let me talk to Franklin.
The motive is that you are trying to help the CJ.
Very well.
Or are
Franklin,
you trying to help yourself? And that is the process. I'm saying that the
Franklin,
CJ is
sorry,
the
you-
victim
yes,
of political maneuvering and interference.
Very
And the
well.
statement by their guru, Michael Quays, shows that the woman is indeed has been victimized by the activities
Franklin,
of
great.
the new patriotic party.
Donna, thanks so much. That point has been made. So yes, I mean the demonstration. You're a civil society person. Demonstrations help our democracy, etc. In a minute or two, kindly talk to me about what you make of the demonstration, its impact, and whether there was anything in there at all. Nana, for example, says that the CJ rather has become a victim of that demonstration because that demonstration has further politicized the process. In a minute or two, kindly put all of that together for me.
Well, first of all, everyone has the right to demonstrate, and I doff my hat to the MPP people for going to demonstrate. I would have wished that they had just developed the same love for rule of law and civility when their government, together with the EC and the judiciary, elements in the judiciary, denied us representation. They kept mute for 4 years. But they have every right to do so. In fact, I asked a few of my civil society actors, should we join the demonstration? They said, for what reason? Because no law has been broken here. I mean, no, so they should just allow as Kojo rightly said, we just allow the process to go on. I mean, look, if you haven't committed the crime, then you probably will be saved. I don't see anything wrong. To be frank with you, it's a matter that I like to just say it's part of a democracy. And by the way, they had the right to demonstrate, and it's good they did that. I mean, next time they should do so. They should keep doing that as well. And happy the police never raised it, and it's not good to remember some of these things. But anyway, we're happy. Yeah.
Yes. So now talk to me quickly about the national security matter, Kwabena Dubois, 49 million, and all of that. I mean, I think it's an attempt to also defend himself because a lot has been said about him in the public. I don't know how it got leaked. I don't know what the strategy is, but just deal with that for me quickly.
Frankly, I don't know what the strategy is either. I mean, if you've been accused of all these heinous crimes, I don't see the point in writing. Maybe the letter was under wraps and then maybe it got leaked. But otherwise, Charlie, this is untidy. To think that the national security, someone who works in the national security setup, has access to these kinds of things and was able to do the things they say is done. And by the way, writing that, is it justifying the fact that he did all of that? I don't think we have a proper national security setup, or probably we did never had one. There's all this thing about how vaunted the national security system is. Probably this is the clearest indication that it was hollow. Otherwise, everything the guy did must have been known by the system. If that national security setup was not, they didn't see this. Imagine the elections were won by the MPP. Can you imagine? Thank
Very
God.
well. Great. Honorable Foucault, putting all of that in the public, gave money to opposition. We don't know how much he gave to government to do other things. But, I mean, would this justify the expenditure?
Solomon. So in the first place, it looks like until the last couple of, days when this expose came, when he released his letter from Iyoko cells, everything seemed okay to the people that were inflaming this, the people that were coming out, making all sorts of statements, trying this person in the public and all that. Everything seemed okay until he came out with this expose. And now there's quietness, there's unease, and people have started now attacking him for releasing this. If we had that respect for the institution of national security, why did we even start in the first place bringing these issues out? If you read his letter carefully, he started by saying that he had kept all this kind of information from his interrogators, knowing the institution where he worked and the implications on the nation as a whole. He kept those to himself. and he made all effort to try to reach to the Attorney General, but he never had a chance. So he was pushed to the wall. And that is what led to...
address to the Attorney General. And in fact, the court system, he will go to court, you have his day in court. The court system could protect him or would have allowed him to make the same statements, but in camera.
I understand it. That's why I started by saying, until this letter was released, all that was going on, and this same line of, trying people in the public and all that, is the same thing that is being done against the CJ. And no one finds anything wrong with that.
Nobody has spoken about the CJ matter. No, the president, and nobody has spoken about it.
I'm talking about the communicators, the actors, and these are senior people that we know.
Very well.
And in the same way, this guy was pushed to the edge.
So when you have to break the law?
I'm not saying it has to break the law. It starts from one point, it gets to the other. When it starts, the right is right, wrong is wrong. When it started, people were pushing this guy, saying all sort of things against him. Based on his letter, he kept his cool. He never even gave certain information to his interrogators for being cognizant of the institution that he worked in, the implications on national security. Now he goes out as a last resort to put this out. And now people are uneasy about it. And they started, all these kind of comments against him.
Very well.
But I'm coming the issue about whether the payments were authorized and all that. Let's ask ourselves whether they were the right things.
So I think that will come up in court.
Okay. That's fine.
Just a minute on this. I mean, the NDC opposition party benefited. The president-elect, special lead.
I can't pretend to be the official spokesperson for the party because as I am here, I was a parliamentary candidate in the 2024 elections. What I expect is that if Kwabena Duboahin mentions the NDC as a political party, as the party, the opposition party he was referring to, the party will use its structures to either deny or confirm the allegations. But what I know so far is the fact that the National Communications Officer, Sami Jefi, in a Facebook comment, stated that the NDC did not receive any such funding from him.
Great.
Then let's allow the law to work and deal with these issues. I believe that at the end of the day, whoever may have received this support, that is, if there was any support in the first place, the law should be able to, the court should be able to establish it.
Great.
And then let's get this issue out of the way.
Yes, you have 60 seconds to make your point. I mean, what's your thinking around all of this?
I've issued a statement on this. And let me read a portion. No intelligence doctrine, foreign or domestic, permits such opaque conduct. If we tolerate it under the banner of special operations, we effectively sanction impunity in the heart of our national defense structure.
Great.
If you go to the United Kingdom, United States, Canada, they all recognize special operations. But you must account. There's a trail. There's a paper trail. There is an internal audit system that allows you to trace the funding. This one has to do with spouse accounts and the rest.
So the spouse was vetted.
Are we saying that? No, are we saying that as a nation, as an intelligence community, we don't have a structure or system whereby you can create avenues and systems to make sure that you do operational type activity? It is recognized all over the world, but there is an accountability audit trail that allows it. So you can't hide under the intelligence banner, because the intelligence banner must be audited. And Parliament, we need to strengthen our system.